Let me show you some beautiful art. The author of this wonderful masterpiece, Michele Petilli, was clearly influenced by abstractism and cubism, and his work is characterized by escaping lines and sharp edges. Michele is an artist from Italy. The interesting fact is that he's 13 years old. This is a wonderful example of minimalism. You can actually see the deconstruction of the anatomical figures, simple lines arranged in a clever way, the absence of colors. What a superb piece of art. The author is Majed Khalifa Ebed. He comes from the United Arab Emirates, and he's 12. And as you can see, the subject portrayed in this work is clearly painting with his own feet. Is this revolutionary art? Is the artist trying to redefine what is right and wrong, what is normal and abnormal? We should probably ask him. His name is Emmanuel Goswell Addy. He comes from Ghana, and he's 13. And this is a powerful example of political art. The author, Monica Fabricia Sanchez Becerra, strongly condemns censorship, lack of freedom, and obstacles to participation. Monica is Mexican, and she's 13. And what about this majestic artwork? Can you feel the struggle, the empathy, the power? The author is Yating Sun from China, and she's 16. So do you start recognizing any pattern here? Do these artworks have anything in common? Yes, they're very colorful and creative, but as you may have noticed, they all revolve around one theme: disability. So, what is disability? Take a few seconds to answer this question inside your mind. What is disability? You may consider it an easy question, and you probably have your own definition in mind. However, the answer is far more complicated than you may think. The notion of what disability is depends on cultural, social, historical, legal, even philosophical factors. From an academic viewpoint, on the one hand, we find a so-called medical model of disability, according to which disability is an internal feature, something we have inside, something that has to be fixed. On the other hand of the spectrum, we find a social model of disability. According to this paradigm, it is society which disables individuals through barriers, negative attitudes, and isolation. Somewhere in the middle, we find intermediate frameworks such as the social medical model or the social relational models, all proposing intermediate positions. In December 2006, the United Nations adopted the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which entered into force in May 2008. This is the first comprehensive human rights treaty of the 21st century, and it is such an extraordinary document. Following the convention, persons with disabilities are not anymore objects of charity or compassion or medical treatment. They become subjects, rights holders. The convention covers everything from education to employment to health to independent living, but it also defines what we talk about when we talk about disability. The convention, in fact, the preamble says that disability is an evolving factor which results from the interaction of persons with impairments and attitudinal and environmental barriers that hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. In a similar way, the World Health Organization, WHO, defines disability as an umbrella term covering impairments, activity limitations, and participation restrictions. Now, compare all of this with the initial definition you came up with a few minutes ago. As you see, understanding the true meaning of disability is a bit more complicated than you initially thought. So, how familiar are you with disability? Do you have a disability? How many persons with disabilities do you know? How many of them are your friends? Or how many of them are your colleagues? How many of them are your lovers? More than 1 billion people worldwide live with some form of physical or intellectual disability. 1 billion. That's 1 in 7. And 80% of persons with disabilities live in the global south, in some of the poorest regions of this planet. 1 billion people it's not a minority group. And yet, disability is something quite hidden in our society and does not get much visibility in our daily lives. And what about education? Education is a fundamental human right. However, according to UNESCO, more than 93 million children worldwide live with some form of disability, and these children are less likely to attend school due to inadequate systems and social stigma, and even when they do, they're very often separated from other children and forced to attend special schools. Girls with disabilities are exposed to even more discriminations, as well as children with disabilities living in emergency situations such as conflicts or natural disasters or health crises like Ebola. This is me at work. And yes, in case you're wondering, that's an alien tinfoil antenna, do not ask. I've been volunteering, studying, researching, and working in the education and disability sectors for a number of years now. And last year, I co-founded the Global Observatory for Inclusion, GLOBI. It's a small non-profit organization based here in Turin, Italy, but we have members in different countries, and we advocate for inclusion at an international level. On December 3rd, 2014, on the occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we started an amazing journey with some amazing people. We partnered with the United Nations Secretary-General's Global Education First initiative and the Youth Advocacy Group, and we launched a global campaign called #JawDisability. Was to raise awareness in children and youth on disability and inclusion. But we also wanted to create a global art project. We networked with over 20 national and international organizations. We created guidelines for teachers in a number of different languages, from Bulgarian to Urdu, and in accessible formats. And we asked teachers and educators around the world to discuss about disability within their own classrooms, to engage their students, both with and without disabilities, and to ask them how they see disability within their own communities. And then we asked those children and youth to turn those ideas into drawings. We chose to focus on drawings because drawing is a natural language. We all draw, right? Well, until we become adults, of course. After that threshold, we tend to focus on important things and we forget how to hold the pencil. But children are not afraid of drawing. Give them a pencil, a piece of paper, and they will communicate. They will express themselves. They will unleash their creativity. The response was overwhelming. We received almost 3,000 drawings from 50 different countries, and they're fantastic. You can see them on the website. They are all uploaded online. Children participated with brilliant creativity from China to Andorra, from Washington, D.C. to Kibera, the largest urban slum in Africa, to the Philippines, where blind children participated creating collages using simple materials such as leaves and small woods. These drawings tell very different stories. Some children decided to represent themselves having fun with their friends, as you can see. Many children and youth decided to represent persons with disabilities as being happy and succeeding in life. Some even managed to summarize in one drawing the whole concept of inclusive education. Others portray disability as a burden, an obstacle, something we should get rid of. Interestingly, a great number of artworks are about helping persons with disabilities, which is great because these drawings carry a positive message of acceptance and inclusion. However, they also reflect a limited understanding of persons with disabilities as people in need of help. These narratives are hugely important because they highlight the amount of work that still needs to be done to overcome stereotypes and to create more inclusive and empowering societies both with and for persons with disabilities. But they also tell us that where we may see suffering, children very often see beauty, strength, resilience, and hope. We received messages from parents and educators thanking us for our work. This, for instance, is a message from a mother. She says, "Congratulations for starting something so wonderful. This project gave me a chance to explain to my daughter about my mental health conditions. And through the artworks of so many children displayed on the webpage, it was easy for her to understand and feel more connected. Reading these messages and being able to involve so many children from so many countries was an unbelievable result for us. But we didn't want to stop there. We also wanted to demonstrate to these children that their voices count, that what they have to say, no matter whether they live in an African slum or a Chinese metropolis, what children and youth have to say can have an impact at global level. For this reason, we selected some of the most powerful drawings and we prepared the Draw Disability exhibition. In May 2015, we brought it to Incheon, Republic of Korea, and we presented it at the World Education Forum. This is the most important international meeting on education. It's a place where world leaders gather to shape policies and practice that will influence education worldwide. Here we got support from a number of people, including Irina Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO, and Kailash Satyarthi, the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize laureate. 1 month later, we brought the Draw Disability exhibition to the other side of the planet, to New York, and we showcased it at the UNICEF headquarters on the occasion of the Conference of State Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. This is the most important meeting in the world on disability. It's a place where countries and organizations gather to discuss about the most important achievements, but also the most urgent needs to include persons with disabilities, both in different communities and at an international level. And then in the summer, we asked the public to go online and to vote for their favorite drawings. And I tell you, it was tough. So many beautiful drawings, so many important messages, and yet we wanted to narrow down the selection. And today, I'm happy to share with you some of the Draw Disability champions. These are not necessarily the most beautiful drawings we received, but I think they well represent the great variety of contexts, perspectives, and messages. 4 days from now, we will be back in New York, and we will present these drawings to the headquarters of the United Nations. There, we will hold a new Draw Disability exhibition, we will launch the Draw Disability book, and we will hold a conference on inclusive education in the context of the new Sustainable Development Agenda. Now, I don't know if you have children, I have 2 nieces, and they spend endless hours drawing. And when they're lucky, those drawings end up on my sister's fridge door. I think it is fair to say that these drawings are traveling quite far. Talking about traveling, fasten your seatbelts because I'm bringing you to space now. This is one of my favorite. I feel it very close to what I define as my cosmic perspective on inclusion. I don't know if that happens to you. I often find myself freezing outside with my chin up, looking at the sky, unable to leave and get back inside, because it's just too beautiful. And I could spend hours looking at pictures of the Earth from space, this beautiful blue marble. And I think that understanding our place in the universe, realizing that we're just a tiny pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan used to call it, a mote of dust in the vastness of the cosmos, helps us understand that down here on Earth, what we have in common is much more than what divides us. We all inhabit the same small planet. We are all different, and for this very reason, we are all equal. And we should walk this path called life together. But I didn't need to explain it to her, because she knows it already. We often think that we need to teach something to children. What Draw Disability is teaching us instead is that children and youth have a lot to say already, and they must be included in the conversation. Art is a language that goes beyond national borders, can surely connect them on a global level, and it's a narrative tool of social transformation. Taking part in Draw Disability, through their drawings, children and youth truly became active global citizens. All we did was build the bridge between children in Kibera, Kathmandu, Beijing, Buenos Aires, Turin, and the round tables where very important decisions are made. These children now have a platform to deliver their messages, and a quite prestigious audience. And they're telling us boldly what is the world they see around them, and what is the world they want to see in the near future. And we should listen to them. Thank you very much. finishing champion.